We know each other. Jack, Devin, Kevin. You all know you. Welcome. Jesus. Alright, my job. Sure know about this?
And welcome back everyone for game 63, where we've got the Australian under-22 in white and the New Zealand under-22 men wearing black. Should be a good comp. I'm here with Devin from NZ.
Good to be here, Jack. It's going to be an exciting game. This grade has definitely been the most highly contested with the other two teams in this grade. Earlier today, the Barbarians winning 1-0 over the Australian Colts, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes for the New Zealand and Australian under-22 teams today.
Yeah, it should be interesting. They've gone both ways so far in the games. I think the Aussie men took the first game. I think there was a draw in there as well.
Yep, and then a 1-0 win for the New Zealanders in their last game against each other. So it's definitely two very, very even teams, and I don't think anyone really knows who's going to take it out today.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see how it all unfolds.
That's I know that the New Zealand boys have been preparing themselves the whole morning, making sure that they're in the right mindset. The moment they're huddling up together, having a little bit of a chat, while the Australians are getting our last few runs into the goal, amping themselves up.
Yeah, it looks interesting here, the difference between the two teams. NZ going for that tight circle. They look very chummy. Having a quick chat, last few words from the coach or captain maybe.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like Matt Hart, the coach, is having a few words. Terry Axford, assistant coach, also getting a few things to say with their two players who are sitting out. Andrew Gaskell and Richard Kay standing on the side listening in.
And they do look good, Devin. You know, NZ always take pride in their snorkel decorations, etc., and they've really kept that up to standard this time. I think everyone's got a good little bit of black and white on the snorkel, which is great to see.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we like to do. Once you make a New Zealand team, you get to decorate your snorkel the colours of your country. So it's a bit of a pride thing, bit of a thing for the younger players to look up to.
Of course, very sloppy at the other end of the pool. We've got a few black snorkels in there. We've even got a white snorkel, maybe a bit of deception there. I think that's Alex Barnes-Keegan wearing that snorkel. He's a kind of wily player. I wouldn't put it past him.
Trying to play a little bit of deception in the game. It's not unheard of from the Australians, I don't think.
Well, it goes both ways, mate. I think I've seen some tapping from NZ forwards sitting behind Australian backs before, and which is, of course, a very good strategy. I think it's almost fair enough. If you're going to turn around and throw a flick without looking, then you must deserve to give it away.
Camera on that far corner. Is it now in the right position? He's moved it so they should get a better line, look down the wall or something.
Camera 2.
Alright.
The camera on the far side.
Far side, right at this end.
One of them is a little bit off angle.
Okay, so you need to go with some instructions.
So we're just having a bit of camera issues here at the pool today. We've lost one camera in the middle of the pool, and one of the cameras needs a little bit of an angle switcher. But we'll be sure to get it back on. Not quite sure how much longer we have. We've got a minute to go for when the game starts. Australia's just done their first little cheer to get them going.
It looks like both teams just lining up on the walls there. They're looking pretty good. Coach Nick Martin's having some trouble with his mask. He's just popping it back on or taking it off.
And the New Zealand team looking amped. Captain Liam Robertson just hopping into the pool after having a bit of a breather on the side. Probably to calm himself down, keep himself nice and centred.
It is important for these guys to find that sweet spot between working really hard and overhyping yourself and getting that heart rate too high. And then, of course, you can't hold your breath and you're very ineffective. So everyone just getting into the zone their own little way. Some people choose to chill out. Some people like to have a yell and a scream, but whatever works for you works.
Definitely. Some players, you can see them before the game, listen to music, amp themselves up, getting really hyper, and other ones sit in the corner, centre themselves. But once again, it does come down to what you do as a team and getting that team bonding, because a team that wins is a team that plays together.
That's true. We've seen it time and time again. Very good players being defeated by good structure.
Yeah, we're still having a bit of trouble with our centre camera, but we do have the 2 side cameras working currently. So we'll try and get that on as soon as possible for you. A call has already been made by the ref. Not quite sure what it was. A little bit further.
Andrew.
Looks like congested play in the centre there, and it's moving across court towards us, doesn't it? It should be hitting that wall now.
Yeah, definitely has hit the wall. New Zealand really keeping up the pace. There's an advantage being played by one of the referees. It's going more towards the defensive corner of the New Zealanders. Yeah, that's good.
It's like it's just been congested there. Very tight few minutes. Any hockey game, the first hit out is going to be very intense. Looks like it's driving back towards that NZ defensive corner now. Aussie's working hard. You can see 3 backs on the surface, and now they've all dropped. Looks like a 45 towards Trey. And that's just touched the corner. That could be a goal.
It looks very, very close to being a goal, and I think it may have been... No, it's a no-goal being called. Gloving into the bin.
Bit of a discussion between Simon Talbot there and the other referees, of course.
Chris Meek and... I think it might be Andrew Harris in the water. Yes, it is Andrew Harris. To Chris Meek, who's from Dunedin, and Andrew Harris from Wellington.
Absolutely top-class reffing in this pool today. Chris having reffed the grand final of the men's elite at the last World Championships. And Simon has been in the same position many times before, so top-quality reffing in there.
And Andrew Harris, one of our top up-and-coming refs, really starting to make some waves. Also a very, very strong player himself. There's a stick
Shopping against number 2 from New Zealand, I think.
Yes, I think it was. So New
It's an
Zealand
Aussie puck in front of goals. This could be interesting. Of course, New Zealand, very hard to penetrate that forward line. They'll tend to rush at you when you're taking that free puck and putting that back under a lot of pressure. If you don't get that flick off cleanly, they can actually turn it and run you all the way down the pool.
Yeah, it is a very effective technique from the New Zealanders that we've used multiple times, putting that pressure on the player. And it doesn't make it easy, though, with the Aussie front line. 3 of you just stacking yourselves up in the middle, not letting us much space to move. And here the New Zealanders chancing in the background. Massive support crowd from the New Zealanders. Great work from the New Zealanders, but I think it's been put into the bin.
That's a consolidated drive. I'd be very surprised if that's anything but a goal, and it is.
There's a goal scored by number 7, I think it was.
As they're climbing, a local Hobart guy actually plays in my club team. We recently won the club pennant here, so he's got the winning vibes about him.
Congratulations on that. So the score is now Australia under 22 team 1, New Zealand under 22 0. Very good start for the Australian team.
Lots of pressure and a little bit of help from the referees, maybe putting the Kiwis under a bit of pressure, and that's forcing out the fouls, which then the free pucks result in a goal.
Yeah, definitely not something that the New Zealanders want to be doing, and they want to keep calm and collected, make sure that they're working on not fouling. We still haven't got the middle camera back onto action, so hopefully we'll be able to get something sorted there very shortly for you.
Play is moving across pool again, very similar to the last sequence. It's cutting a 45, it's hit the wall, and now it's driving down the wall, and they're cutting in back towards the goal tray.
Yeah.
All 3 Kiwis back on the surface, swimming backwards.
Australia, Kiwis have managed to push it into the defensive corner, and they're driving back up the wall, putting some pressure back on the Australians, but Australia doing well to not let them break out and holding them on the wall to, I'm assuming, do another drive straight for our goal bin.
That's been pushed back out by the New Zealanders, and it's just sitting under that sin bin, where it seems to have been a lot of the game, and that's a call from referee Simon Talbot. Looks like gloving against New Zealand.
Massive subbing from the New Zealand team. We've got to really be careful with the subbing in this game, because I have a feeling that the chief refs will not be playing lightly on the illegal subbing. The advantage puck for the Australians, taking it now.
And Simon Talbot playing advantage. Interesting to see whose advantage that is.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to tell. You think it might be one of the team that would be driving, but then all of a sudden it's a different play.
That's a good defensive movement from NZ, I'm sure.
Great work
Sweet.
pulling it towards the sub bench, giving them the option if they need to sub it up. And you can see Louis Flavel-Birch subbing into the bench, getting a fresh forward in to make those drives. Great work from the Australian defence, holding in good position.
Josh McKenzie there just poking it under the the offensive Kiwi. He's there trying to just kind of contest that wall a little bit. Very good work from number 8, working hard, difficult spot to be in.
Yeah, number 8, Benjamin Richards. He's a very feisty young man, very, very fit, but yeah, he was looking like he was having a bit of a lost battle there, just hammering the corner.
It's one of those things, you need to contest that puck, but it's no point wasting too much energy because really it can't go very far.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. But it's an advantage puck for the Kiwis. This could be their chance to get onto the scoreboard and make it a 1-1 game. Currently the score is 1-0 to the Australian under-22 team. Great work.
That's great positioning from the referee.
Yeah,
very
definitely.
cunningly blocking our view.
That's another call. It's against the New Zealand this time for gloving.
It's tough. Once that contest heats up, it always is going to spill and hit a glove, and it's up to the referee to decide if it was a big advantage from the glove or not. Josh McKenzie throwing that puck into the centre. Kiwi players picked it up and curled it back into that recycling 45 drive. It looks like an Aussie forward might have got hold of that, because usually you'd see that puck soaring in towards the middle of a goal tray.
New Zealand are doing some great work from their forward line, getting in and supporting their players on the defensive, and it's been a call against the Australians. It looks like stick infringement was the call. Some fantastic chanting from the Australian crowd today. Seems like all the under-19 teams have really stacked up the crowd to support both teams.
It's a good clearance from the Aussies. They just calmly swept that out. New Zealand very good at cutting that 45 from that deep angle, so they've got to be really careful.
Yeah, there's a great work from the Australian holding it there, but it might have been pulled up for the corner rule potentially. And there's a ref timeout just being called. Seems to be a dispute between the refs on what the foul was. So the score today is 1-0 for the Australian under-22 team and 0 for the New Zealand under-22 team. It looks like we might just be getting our centre camera back up and running, so hopefully we'll be able to see a little bit more of the game for you guys.
We're getting some great vision of Pete Vanderwood at the moment, but hopefully we can get that in the pool.
And the New Zealanders have taken their advantage.
Oh, that's a dangerous drive.
Massive drive up the back wall, lots of numbers on the bottom. Both teams really pushing for it. It looks like it's a no-goal. Gloving both teams. So they'll probably most likely pull out an equal puck right in front of the goal bin, which still isn't the most ideal situation for the Australians to be in. Massive drive from the New Zealanders. Great numbers from the Aussies.
Very congested plan, and NZ player's got that on the outside. Looks like he's run into the defensive halfback though, Richard Cleary, who's...
Massive turn from the New Zealander. Lots of space. And it looks like it's in the bin. New Zealand crowd going crazy. We've lost the middle camera once again.
That's the danger. When that backline rotation breaks down, you can score against that back wall very quickly if you're not careful and rotating really hard. So that's a bit of a mistake from the Aussies, and they've paid for it.
Yeah, that makes the score today in Hobart 1 New Zealand, 1 Australia, making the score 1-1. This is a very, very tight final, like what we like to see. Now is Justin Sturrock from New Zealand's cap number 10 who scored that goal. Justin is playing goalie for this tournament. An advantage puck has been called up against the New Zealanders. Great drive from the New Zealanders. Very good defensive work from them, taking it across the opposite wall. And the Australians, it's now a bit stagnant on the wall. New Zealand making a little bit of a drive up, putting Australia on their back foot.
It's stuck down there in the Australian defensive corner. Never a good place to be because you can't get to your sub bench.
Yeah, it's such an annoying spot actually.
That's a big 45 drive across the pool. I'm not sure if the NZ players are moving it through the back line.
And it's a stick infringement against the New Zealanders. Massive subbing from both teams as they've just been away from the sub bench for quite a long time. All numbers down, lots of numbers down for Australia. It looks like they're going for a really good strong drive, but the New Zealanders have managed to shut them down on the wall, holding them in place. New Zealanders counter-attack and going straight up the pool into our side camera here. Australia's got hold of the possession, and it's a call against the New Zealanders once again. Not quite sure what the call was.
The referee's pushing them back a long way, which indicates it probably happened early in that drive. Could have been when the possession changed hands.
Most likely playing advantage for a little bit there for the Australians, but New Zealanders took the puck off them with the foul.
Good work by the Kiwi backline. They've swept that up nicely and taken it under their side bench. Always a good place to be.
Another infringement against the New Zealanders. They really need to sort their fouling out if they're going to take position in this goal. The captain is calling a ref's team timeout, taking their minute that they get for each team per half.
You can see the Kiwis on the bench breathing very heavily. They are working hard. It's always interesting, Devon. Your style of play seems to be absolutely exhausting. You're always running and flicking and chasing. I don't know how you guys keep it up.
Oh, we just do a lot of swimming in our spare time. Keep up the fitness work and hopefully it pulls through for us on finals day. But I do have to say the Australians have got a great history of making huge comebacks in the second half.
That's true. We usually like to just ease into these sort of things. No need to rush. And
obviously today you're taking a different tactic with the first goal on the board.
Yeah, it's unusual for us. I'm not hugely comfortable with it. It could be ill tidings. Coach Nick Martin now talking to his guys. He's using the big open-handed gesture. He looks pretty confident and relaxed, but that's classic Nick. It could mean anything at all.
That's the great thing about some of the top coaches in the world is that they're just so cool, calm and collected. You can never really read their face. And you never know what's going on inside their head, but man, they sure are thinking, that's for sure. Great drive from the Australians. Going around the outside, New Zealand are driving them to the wall.
Lots of Hayden Winman. He's done well to recycle that puck, and it's still in that zone.
Lots of numbers down from both teams, but it seems both are popping up for air. Call has been made. 1 minute out for gloving, and that looks like cap number 9. As Liam Robertson, the captain of the team, has been sent out for 1 minute. Really not an ideal situation for the boys to be in, down to 5, right in front of their goal bin. Australia would do well to capitalise on this moment.
And it looks like some news has come through on our mid-camera. It's actually flooded completely, so that GoPro is done. So we're trying to replace it as soon as we can, but no promises there.
Great work from the New Zealanders, driving it out off from away their bin, but Australia's taken back the possession.
Real intensity, and this is a pretty dangerous drive from the Aussies.
There was no goal being called from the Australians, gloving from the New Zealanders, from the Australians, sorry, pushing them back. No lie, it's a bit of a lucky break for New Zealand because that was a fantastic drive from the Australians.
It really was. And that cold gloving again, which has come up a lot this game, it's really influencing a game of hockey, but
I think both teams have high spirits and also very, very high aggression levels, as there's been a very strong rivalry between our two countries for the last however knows long.
That's right, Devon. Unlike Europe, we don't really have anyone else to play with, so we just have to beat each other up.
Well, it's working well for us, that's for sure. Great work from the Australian defensive team, stopping that nice strong drive from the New Zealanders. It looks a little bit stuck on the wall at the moment. Australia getting lots of numbers in the bottom. Solid work from the New Zealanders, driving it straight up the middle. Can they finish it off? Yes, they can, with Liam Robertson getting back in the pool. They just had enough numbers to get it down onto the bottom. So that's a goal for New Zealand, scored by number 2, Hamish Arthur.
He's done well there. That's a really good drive from the Kiwis. That's a classic 45 with some good recycles. Very hard to defend. You have to meet the intensity of the attackers, and Australia just couldn't quite do it that time.
So the score now, New Zealand 2, Australia 1, and Nick Martin calling a timeout for the Australian boys with 1 minute 38 to go in the first half. Very intense final here today in Hobart, Tasmania. Well, I'm getting a little bit nervous myself, to be honest.
Well, look, it's a hell of a game, and really it could go either way. There's plenty left.
Definitely, and I know that the Australians have come back from worse than 2-1 before, so the New Zealanders are just going to have to keep their foot on the pedal and keep driving forward. Otherwise, the Australians will capitalise on any weakness and get that runaway goal or just drive it the whole way up the pool.
That's true, Devon. We do like to come from behind, so anything can happen here.
With 14 seconds to go in their timeout, both coaches are out of the pool. Both teams getting ready to take the strike. We still haven't got that middle camera sorted out, but we will keep trying to tell you what's going on as much as possible. Massive strike from the both teams. Looks like it's a little bit stagnant in the middle, but it's been driven towards the wall away from the sub-bench. Not a good place for either team to be in. It's almost that catch-22. It looks like one of the players in the New Zealand team is getting his wrist strapped. Clark Samuel, cap number 12, is over getting some first aid done on the side there, so that doesn't look too good for him.
And that's another ref call. Looks like 2 minutes for...
One of the Australian players, by the
Or
looks of
maybe
it.
not. It doesn't look like he's heading
Maybe it
out.
was just cap 2 was the one fouling.
That is Tom Big Milk Milner. He's known for his aggression and can spark up a lot when under pressure.
Yeah, finals hockey is all about staying cool, calm and collected, but being aggressive at the same time. And it's hard to find that balance, as you were saying earlier.
It is. It's up to each individual player. Looks like it's working its way down the middle of the pool. Tom Milner dropping that outside wing, which means it could be a big sweeping play from the Aussies, but he's gone back up. So that drive's being consolidated by the Kiwis.
And New Zealand's doing well to scramble. There's an advantage being played, and the call is made once again. Cap number 1 has been having a chat to about gloving. No, stick infringement, sorry. So New Zealanders taking an opportunity to have a little bit of a breath after that very strong drive from Australia.
Kiwis putting that puck down the wall, it looks like, and that drive is just being congested.
And another call has been made by the referees. And it's the time for the first half, making the score at end of the first half 2 to New Zealand, 1 to Australia. A very, very intense final today for the last game of the Hobart Trans-Tasman.
It's the final we expected, and it's the final we wanted. Should be interesting to see how it pans out.
That is true. It's always good to have a nice tight final on the last day of hockey. No one really wants to see one team dominating.
Coach Dick Martin having a chat to his boy now. They're all circled up. This is probably where he's going for the emotional impact. He's probably talking about working hard for each other. He's probably talking about pride. It's pretty heavy stuff, and this is really the point where the team that wants it more will win.
I definitely agree with that. It's I'd say Matt Hart will be going for a similar line, talking about keeping up the pressure and not letting off the foot pedal. Because if you let off, Australia is going to come straight back at you. And it's not an easy thing to do with 2 15-minute, very long halves. A lot of people think that 30 minutes isn't the longest time, but when you're playing without oxygen, it's a very, very, very long time.
It is. It's amazing how long that 15 minutes can be, particularly if you're working on a 1-for-1 sub. You're not even in the water for that long, but you'll get out of that pool and you'll be wrecked.
Yep. And you can see it from both teams in the sub bench, both teams chest heaving, and they're really putting in a lot of effort today. So this last 15 minutes is going to show you guys back home and also here in Australia some really, really fantastic hockey.
Hopefully we can get that camera up so you can actually see what's going on.
That would be ideal.
Both teams now in that close huddle. They've done their final little cheer. The players spreading out and getting ready.
New Zealand just doing a quick little last few words, saying the good old two-letter NZ, because we were far too lazy to say New Zealand.
Looks like the refs having a final little chat as well, perhaps just deciding who they want to win the game.
You always want that, don't you? You always do. And we do have some very, very professional refs in the water today, so I'm sure they'll be being nice and fair with 3 New Zealand refs in the water. There's one Australian ref in the water.
One
so
Australian, 2 New Zealand.
That's all right. It's nice and even. 2-1.
Which is also the scoreline at this point. Suspicious, maybe not. We'll see how it pans out.
Conspiracy theories are already starting. So we've got 20 seconds to go before the second half starts. New Zealand already starting to get their chant going. Richard Kay leading it from the front. It's never easy being that the 2 players that have to sit out the finals hockey, but it's always they always have a very important role to play outside of the water as well, keeping up morale for their team and making sure the crowd's chanting the right way.
It is Josh McKenzie, who's playing captain for Australia at the moment and fullback, knows that all too well. He actually missed out on the entire World Championships through illness. He didn't play a game.
Was that this year or last year?
It was this year.
Oh, that's not ideal. Yet you still managed to win it, so you must have done something right.
Exactly, mate. Very important roles from those guys. Looks like the puck's been driven deep into the New Zealand defensive corner. Not quite getting to the corner, but it's that classic Australian spot. I wonder if Nick Martin's talked to them about putting in that spot and attacking from there.
New Zealand's managed to curl it off them by the looks of things and take it to the other side.
Looks like it's under that sub-bench, and Australia will probably reload their players and push this out, but you never know.
Very fast drive from Hamish Arthur, also known as Bucket to the New Zealanders. Not quite sure why his nickname's Bucket, but...
There's Connor Martin, we can see in front of the camera, screening very nicely as it comes out and around. That's a really good movement from the NZ players. Really dangerous sort of movement, but it's been deflected by the Aussie forwards.
That was a massive hit by one of the Australians on one of the back line on New Zealand. Call has been made, obstruction against the New Zealanders.
We haven't seen a gloving foul pulled up yet, Devon, as the refs have decided to ease up on that pretty minor infringement and let the game flow a little bit.
I think that might be a good call because I'd rather see the game flowing a little bit more if it's just a minor gloving. Massive gloves obviously need to be called up, but if it's just one touch, it's a little bit overkill.
I agree with you there, mate. And looks like it's just congested in that mid-court, maybe moving backwards. I suspect it's in the Kiwi backline and they've got control of it and they've reloaded it.
Call being made by the ref at the top behind the Australians, and it's against the Australians this time. Not quite sure what the call was made for, but it's
a free punt pretty much between the 2 sub-benches. NZ very spread out on their frees. It means they've got a lot of options, but also maybe lack a little bit of drive in one particular spot.
And the Australians have managed to take possession and recycle it to their defensive corner away from their sub-bench, which is a much better position for the New Zealanders to be in than for the Australians.
This is a good spot to attack for NZ. They've got it jammed in that corner, and all they have to do is work hard until the Aussies get tired and then move it down that wall.
But then there also can be a catch-22 where they get a bit tired and can't quite finish it off because their sub-bench is on the other side of the pool as well.
Looks like the Aussies... it's just congested at the moment. It's going back and forth. The boys in there battling. Everyone's getting a bit fatigued. You can tell when someone's popping and just popping on the same spot, which looks like pretty much everybody's doing at the moment.
Yeah, a bit of a drive from Australia though. New Zealand seem to have shut it down. But there's quite a lot more cats on the top of the water in the second half than there was in the first half. So you're right on that, Jack. They're definitely starting to get a little bit tired.
It's been an interesting outside movement contest here between the number 4 NZ player, who's that outside back, and Tom Milner. Tom Milner very quick. If he gets that puck, he's going to be looking to swim it all the way across the court.
And just an update on the middle camera. We can't get the camera back, so massive apologies here from the tournament. We'll just have to work with the cameras we've got, and we'll try and keep you updated as much as possible of what's happening in the middle of the pool.
All the Aussie bench clapping there. Looks like Devon and I have both missed that important thing that's happened.
It's a call against the Aussie, against the New Zealanders. So the Australians getting a free buck right in front of the New Zealand goal bin, which could bring this game back to 2-2.
And that's been deflected nicely by the Kiwis into that corner, but that is a good spot for the Australians to be in.
Yeah, just like we said before, which the New Zealanders were just in, but it depends on if the New Zealanders can keep their numbers down, keep working on their rotation. Otherwise, we might not be able to hold them out for very much longer. Australia doing a good work by the looks of things, driving it into the corner with New Zealand holding them out
They've just got it pinned in there and they're just working and working and working. And as we said before, this is just about who wants it more, and this is a classic example.
New Zealand doing well to stop a drive, but there has been a call made by the referee against the New Zealanders again. The Australian crowd is definitely clapping. It looks like it was an obstruction call. So that's when the player uses their body to either protect the puck or uses it to stop another player getting to the puck. Pretty much the same thing, but slightly worded differently.
Like Aussies now driving that corner, being deflected so far by NZ.
New Zealand doing really well to shut down the Aussie drives up the back wall, and what I'm assuming a couple of 45 drives as well. They're just really hustling in the back corner, trying to make sure that no one gets through.
The Aussies yet to use that out and around option, which they can do and they have scored off in the past.
And it's an advantage puck against the Australians. This for once again obstruction. There's been quite a few obstruction calls today in the second half. I'm wondering when the team warning's going to come out and the kickouts start coming.
Yeah, a lot of fouls put up, not a lot of kickouts. At some point the refs have to decide if those fouls are going to warrant a kick-out or if they're just going to keep getting minor infringements.
Yeah, and a bit of a drive from the New Zealanders, but the Aussies have turned it around. Once again, it's stuck in that middle of the pool. Both teams kind of not really going anywhere. New Zealand driving it to the other side of the pool.
This looks like a good drive from NZ, but the Aussie backs do look very calm on the surface. You can always tell if a drive's really dangerous because you'll see the backs panic.
Great work from player number 4. That was Daniel Kemp, a left-hander that always gets
and that's
confused.
a goal.
Fantastic work from the New Zealand. No goal being called by Simon.
That looks like another gloving. So far gloving has cost both teams
It's
a goal.
a ref timed out from Chris. He wants to have a chat about that. So it's definitely guaranteed it was a no goal. The goal was scored on the inside of the player's glove. It's always quite tense and quite disheartening for a team when they get a goal disallowed. And it can really rattle a couple of players.
It really can. It's a massive call from a referee, and it can really alter the course of the game.
Yeah, I definitely know. I've seen it in Australia capitalising on this moment to drive back up to the New Zealand defensive corner. New Zealand doing well to slow them down and hold them a little bit.
Just ripping it under his body, keeping really strong possession. That's really good by the Kiwi.
And another call has been made. Ref timeout. It looks like there's a bit of double fouling going on.
He's talking to a couple of the NZ players, or is that an Australian? I can't really quite see.
And it's against the Australians.
He was talking to number 2, Josh McKenzie, it looks like.
So the New Zealanders have got an advantage puck
Chosen
right
just
underneath their sub-bench.
they've chosen just to tuck that into the wall. The good, safe, conservative option, and why not? You're a goal up.
And the score is 2-1 to New Zealand currently with 8 minutes to go in the second half. Anything could happen at this stage. 8 minutes is a long time to score a goal, as we saw the other day when New Zealand managed to score after 0-0 for the whole game, and they scored in the last 20 seconds.
Connor Munnings there from Australia, number 8, losing his mask. He looks pretty cross about it. It could have been a deliberate pull-off, but I wouldn't be so presumptive. He has got those big mask keepers on, so it's pretty hard to lose a mask.
Chris Mead telling number 10 off for obstructing from Australia.
Number 10, Richard Cleary, another good local lad.
From what I've experienced in the pool, he can get a little bit feisty underwater at times.
That's right, Devon. We call it passion.
I love it.
And that's a good 45 drive from the Aussies, but the Kiwis look pretty relaxed, so it should be deflected into that corner. But now they're dropping.
Australians most likely using their fantastic tactic of swimming and turning, and just not letting the New Zealanders really touch the puck and opening up a lot of space underwater.
And we're stuck in that corner again. Will the Australians pull it out through the back line? I know they're itching to do it. It's whether they can. When you're playing against an NZ team, they'll put a lot of pressure on that initial movement. So often they'll foul that flick up before you can get it out and move it through the rest of your players, which looks like what this under-22 team has been doing really well today. Just stifling the Australians before they can really get moving.
Yeah, a bit of a drive from New Zealand across the pool. Now, it looks like an Australian's right on him, so unsure if it's going to be a successful swim. Quite hard to see, but it's definitely been successful so far. They're driving up towards the bin. The Australians are scrambling. New Zealanders have got a lot of numbers on the bottom, only a couple down. Advantage being played, and the call has been made against the New Zealanders. Obstruction 1 minute out for cap number 2, it looks like.
Simon Talbot grabbing him by the leg and pulling him back to really let him know what he's done. He doesn't look too happy about that, and no one's ever happy about getting in the bin. Cap
number 12, Clark Samuels, has been sin-binned for 1 minute, I think the call was.
Timeout called by NZ. Which is a good call. The players are getting a bit frantic. Time to just bring his boys in, tell them to calm down and start enjoying their lead a little bit.
And it's definitely going to need to keep up the pressure with only 5 players in the water now, with only 6 minutes to go in the second half. The score currently 2 New Zealand, 1 Australia. The Australians, I can imagine, wanting to capitalise on this 5-man game.
That's exactly right, and that's exactly what I imagine Coach Nick Martin will be saying to them right now. Telling the boys just to calm it down, let the judgment flow through them, really look and make sure their passes are going exactly where they need to go. And we're just about to get play resumed again. Australians setting up that tight stack pretty much in the centre of the pool, which gives them a good option to either go to the stack or swim it right to the sub bench, depending on what the fullback sees in front of him. Looks like it's moved all the way across the pool and it's resting pretty much under the sin bin, which could be good for the Kiwi player when he gets back in the pool, dropping straight into the action.
Yeah, that would definitely be an ideal situation. I've seen it quite a few times where a player will be on the other side and the team spins it and the opposition gets back into the water and you get hit from out of nowhere, so that's never fun.
It looks like it's driven back into that Australian corner now.
New Zealand is doing well with 5. It often does happen that a team will go down to 5 and score still because they seem to pick up their game a little bit, realising that they're going to have to step up their play and play for that extra player who isn't in the water.
That's right, mate. And both these structures now can tolerate missing a man or even 2 men in the core of the team just doing what they need to do to keep the play going.
Definitely agree with that. One of the refs is doing great work at holding himself out of the water to make sure he doesn't get in the way of the play. Great to see when a ref fully commits to the cause.
Looks like it's being driven back out by Australia, but now across that goal, and that's very dangerous for Australia.
And the New Zealanders are back up to 6 with Clark jumping straight into the action.
He's on the puck and he's tucked it through, but Richard Cleary managing to keep hold of that. Well done, mate. And it's moving across the centre. Australia just screening it. NZ, very nice movement through their back line. This is very dangerous for Australia because they can start an attacking drive wherever they want. But it looks like Tom Milner's picked that puck up and he's gone straight through the centre. Can he find someone to pass to?
Great work coming back and helping his team out when they were under pressure. But New Zealand seems to have taken back the possession and driving towards the bin again. Not sure what's happening at the moment. It's stuck right underneath the Australian sub-bench, which can be a little bit dangerous for the subs if they don't sub properly. It looks like they've only got... Oh, there's definitely 4 in there. As I said, it can get confusing for the chief ref at times.
Now it's driving up that right-hand side. Good, strong drive from the Aussies.
So we've just changed the camera angle slightly so we can try and see a little bit more of the pool, get you guys a little bit more footage.
That's well cleared by New Zealand.
Very
Very calm.
clearing by Liam Robertson. Clark coming in, doing a nice solid body position, holding himself well on the wall.
You can really see that tiredness in both teams, Devon. They're just struggling to maintain the possession when they really should know better.
Yeah, you can see almost the deflation in almost both teams. They're not quite as energetic as they were in the first half, but with only a very short amount of time to go in the second half. 3 minutes pretty much to go in the second half, and the score is 2 New Zealand, 1 Australia, but an advantage puck has been called for the Australian. No, it's for the New Zealanders in their own defensive corner.
See what they can do. New Zealand are putting it straight on that wall. Looks like Aussies all facing turning backwards, so that's probably a good wall drive from NZ. Moving nicely.
Once again, stagnant in the middle of the pool. Both teams not really gaining possession. Great drive across the pool from the New Zealanders, it looks like.
That's congested central play. Hard to really tell who's winning that. Now, definitely the Kiwis have driven out of that nicely. You can see the Aussies' backs all popping. A little bit of panic to their fins.
You can see a lot of numbers on the bottom of the pool. Both teams desperately trying to do what New Zealand is trying to get in the bin, in Australia to clear it out to the wall and not let New Zealand drive straight up the middle.
Currently it's sitting in that Australian defensive corner. One of the refs playing advantage. Let's see how this pans out. Still there, still congested. Everyone just working very, very hard. Yeah, that's...
And it's a call against the Australians. Another obstruction call.
For Connor Munnings, the Australian centre forward.
This is going to be a very tight moment for the Australians on whether they can keep it out of the bin. Lots of numbers on the bottom. Very hard to score off an advantage puck against Australia, as they do get a lot of numbers and get a lot of people in the way, not making it easy to swim through them.
Chris Meeks still playing advantage, and now he's called it up. Let's see what this is. Breaking from Australia. That'll be another New Zealand free puck.
And they'll be putting it straight into the middle of the pool, right in front of the bin.
They're trying to set up quickly. Australia got to breathe and get down.
And it's a timeout for the white team, giving them a little bit of chance to have a bit of a rest, compose themselves, but it also gives a chance for New Zealand to get a rest as well. Be interesting to see the outcome of this advantage puck.
Yeah, that was a very well-timed timeout by Nippon. See the Australian backline absolutely cooked, and they've been defending very hard for a decent amount of time, so no wonder.
New Zealand boys, with only 1:42 to go, are still leading 2-1. You can see Daniel Kemp giving a nice little chat in this circle, trying to amp up the boys. Matt Hart, I'm sure, will give them something to say, maybe something a little bit inspirational, keeping them calm, keeping them steady, getting them to suck up their breath one last time before the minute 40 comes down.
I do have to say that at this juncture, Devon, it's theirs to lose.
Definitely
Australia have
agree
to
with
find something pretty special to get it down the other end and put it in the tray.
I've seen it before, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it again. I'm not going to lie.
Every single player on the bottom. Puck goes in, absolute tussle. Looks like it's gone New
Massive
Zealand's
hit.
way.
Huge
Has it been
numbers on the
deflected
bottom.
on?
Great work from the Australians, but it looks like it's going to be a goal. And it's a goal to the New Zealanders, scored by number 3, Louis Flevelbirch.
Flevelbirch, a classic hockey name.
Yeah, always get weird ones, don't we? But yeah, Louis is a great player from the New Zealand Auckland region, and he's played in the last 2 World Championships in Hungary and Spain. New Zealand feeling like they've got this game in the bag now with a 3-1 lead and only about a minute to go.
Australia now pushing hard in the centre of the pool.
Call being
Looks
made
like-
by the referee. Not sure if the chief has seen it, but ref's having a bit of a chat, sending somebody out for 1 minute. It looks like one of the
Aussie player,
Australians.
maybe number 12, Dan Gould. Doesn't look like he's keen to go to the sub bench. Oh no, that's somebody else. Hard to see who it is at the moment.
And it's number 11 by the looks of things, rolling
That's
out.
Mitchell Piccoli, an absolute key back. So with that, it probably ends Australia's hopes of bringing home this match.
Looks like his his cap's been a little bit ripped up as well. And it's a call against the New Zealanders. Not ideal for them in this situation.
And it's another gloving call, that classic call that's really...
With only 40 seconds to go, the Australians would have to score now and get another one straight off the strike to be able to bring it into a 3-all and go into overtime.
almost numerically impossible at this point, Devon.
No, I would probably agree with you on that one. It would be nice for the Australians to get a goal just to get themselves back on the scoreboard, but I don't think New Zealand's going to let them. They're probably going to hold it as close as they can to the defensive corner, hold them out.
Look at those numbers behind the puck from New Zealand. That's really good.
Great work from the Australian number 1 player there. You know, nice little drive, but there's just too many numbers from the New Zealanders. Crowd doing the countdown now. And
That's
the
it,
game over.
All over. We played New Zealand. They had a lot of control through the mid-game and a few really good drives that just the Aussies couldn't defend.
So the final score was 3 New Zealand, 1 Australia, and that's the final game to wrap up the Hobart Trans-Tasman. New Zealand taking out the final for under-22 men's. Make sure you come back next year when the World Championships will be hosted here in Hobart, and I'm sure there'll be a fantastic streaming service once again held by the Australians. Massive shout out to Sandra Milner and Nick Martin for running a fantastic tournament, and all the Australians who've done a great job.
Thanks very much, Devon. We'll see you.